Are you tired of seeing the same teams all the time in VGC 2016? Do you want to see something fresh? Well, that's what Swiggity promises us today, and it's with Giratina Zygarde being the core combo, and a lot of other random stuff. I don't even know what potential comment. All the comments are like, whoa, this is way too good. This is OP. And we do have some multiple battles, so it's not going to be just this team that we're going to be seeing. We're going to be seeing a lot of other different stuff, and this is going to be good. So that's going to be Mega Kangaskhan and Talonflame. Alright, you want to see where this combo ends up playing out. I mean, it's not like hardcore legendary setup, but it's still something pretty solid. So we're going to see how we stop this. Is what I'm saying. Now, Zygarde I don't think is that powerful because it's objectively worse than Xerneas, and it also just doesn't get much done in general, but that's going to be the generic fake out. And I feel like that magic code is going to be some foreshadowing for when we go up against a Smeargle. And wow, oh my goodness, really? So Talonflame bringing a little bit of support, the taunt not going through. Talonflame taunts itself so it can't taunt again. And that's going to be a switch out into the Kyogre. So a little bit of different on this team because we're going to be seeing the Kyogre with the Kangaskhan instead of like Xerneas Smeargle and Xerneas Groudon. But let's see how this one ends up playing out. Now I guess that Trick Room, like what is Cresselia going to do with its newfound taunt or untauntability? And into the Double Edge. So Kangaskhan rocking as much damage as possible on the Zygarde, but Zygarde, that has to be like full tank, because I thought when I was running those damage calculations, like the Double Edge was a little more than that, and we have the Glare, so a little bit of support on that Glare potentially as we see how this plays out. So Cresselia has a skill swap, and we're just gonna get rid of that Parental Bond and give it Levitate. Levitate might be annoying if you're trying for Earthquake, but we have Glare anyways working for us, and that is going to be a withdraw from the Kangaskhan. Needs to get some of that power back as we go into the Talonflame, and Zygarde gets a Glare. So, well, Zygarde is actually faster, so maybe not as much tank. Maybe that's just Zygarde's natural tankiness that I didn't respect right there. I thought there was more damage off of that Double Edge. Wow, that's interesting. The Grass Knot actually hitting twice on the now paralyzed Kyogre. And then we have the Origin Pulse. So that's going to be a dunk onto the Zygarde, and Cresselia is still going to tank it up and survive it. Things are still looking pretty fancy right now as Giratina comes in. So how does Giratina deal with this meta is the big dog question. And we have a Brave Bird from the Talonflame. Talonflame's Brave Bird is going to hit Cresselia. Not knock it out though, so we're going to see a little bit of recoil right there. And of course that is going to be the Life Orb damage. Giratina has Calm Mind though. So Giratina is just kicking it with that Calm Mind. Did I put that in my VGC moveset? Like, hey, if it gets a Calm Mind, it might do something? I don't remember it, so maybe not. Cresselia has that Grass Knot, so still doing what we can to the Kyogre. Grass Knot hitting twice, a little bit of damage. And Cresselia isn't going to be able to do too much more right here, but the Paralysis from the Groudon, or from the Kyogre, is going to change it up, and now we see the Brave Bird from the Talonflame. So we need to go, and we need to get this Cresselia out of here for the opponent. But that does put Giratina in a good position right now to finish off the Kyogre or do something to this Talonflame. As Giratina goes for that Dragon Pulse. So Calm Mind Dragon Pulse, I guess, I was thinking like maybe it's a tankier Giratina for that Calm Mind, but the Origin form, it's going to be more of an offensive one, and that's going to be the Ice Beam. But Giratina, we know that this Pokemon just doesn't care, especially after that Calm Mind. So I guess using that speed and damage to try to like get the Calm Mind into just destroying everything else and getting all the base tankiness that you need as we go into the Aegislash. Aegislash doesn't have to worry about the Groudon, so it can do something this time. That's going to be a Sucker Punch from Kangaskhan onto Giratina. Giratina is going to be able to survive. Barely tanks it. And that's going to be the Aura Sphere. So holding on to an Aura Sphere just for that Kangaskhan tech. Not enough to knock it out though. Aegislash has that stance change, which means it will be able to outspeed and overrun on this Kyogre. And then we just see like, okay, that was a Shadow Claw, which means that we are going to see something else. Like, you know, Kangaskhan, it's got the Sucker Punch, but you can't hit both Pokemon. So the Iron Head will be enough. But the opponent still has a Cresselia to respect as well. Kangaskhan does get paralyzed, and Giratina throws out the Hex. So it's okay, I understand the combo right now. That's a lot of damage too without the status. So that's going to be an Iron Head on to the Kangaskhan, I just lost my train of thought there for a second. Cresselia sets up the Trick Room, tries to make itself just a little faster. So yeah, let's just say, you know, it would have been Giratina going down, and then the opponent forfeits anyways, because Aegislash did have the Shadow Claws against it. Cresselia, you know, that paralysis was clutch, but I do see the combo now, so it's apparently Hex set up into the paralysis, but we do have some more battles, so let's go and see what really happens with this team. There we go, now we're talking. There's the Primal Groudon, and now we're going to see how this team responds to that. So technically, when we break it down, this team is going to be weak against the Xerneas, but that's why we have a Scizor potentially, and yeah, we just got to play this one out. So we know that Smeargle ain't going to do nothing to this, so you just protect, and then you Magic Coat, and then you put the opponent's team to sleep, and then they go GG, get wrecked, butt hurt, rage quit kind of thing, I guess. Yay! So we're going to see how the rest of this one plays out. So that's going to be Kangaskhan, that's going to be the Smeargle, and boom, things are going to happen right here. So Mega Kangaskhan, going to try to fake out something. It would have to fake out the Cresselia, but at the same time, you generally don't think about faking out the Cresselia, so that could set this back a bit, but that means only Cresselia is going to sleep, and you're still having to worry about the Smeargle, so there are things that could set this back. But also, normally, you don't see, like, the Smeargle Kangaskhan. I don't know. We're going to see where this Magic Coat goes. So Magic Coat's going... Oh, is Magic Coat actually faster than the fake out? Or no? Oh, yeah, Magic Coat actually has, like, +6, +7, so it is going to be faster than the fake out. You can't fake that out. That's insane. Okay. And so, never mind. I obviously don't know speed priorities anymore. But there we go. Dark Void. GG. Opponent put himself to sleep. That's what happens when you play that standard and you... Like, that's why I like the Magic Coat. You can anti-meta on that Magic Coat super hard and still get some fun out of it. So Smeargle's Moody is going to gain evasion. That can be a little frustrating to deal with. But now you're having to sleep Kang and to sleep everything. Kangaskhan's going to try to fight this one out. Looks like he went for the Protect. Not going to get it right there. Smeargle... not going to get anything either, and that's going to be a Swords Dance. So, more damage. I mean, Swords Dance, Bug Bite, GG. Cresselia is also going to Skill Swap, just to make sure if Kangaskhan wakes up, he ain't doing nothing, or she ain't doing nothing. I got a lot of flack on my top 10 video, because I was like, Kangaskhan, he's going to be good. It's like, no. Kangaskhan only gets to be a parent. A female parent. It's a mommy. There's not much to talk about. Both the opponents are asleep, and we're still in, like, setup turns. So now we are going to see the switch in. That's going to be the Groudon, right? Alright, that's a Groudon. But there could be some damage changes going down over here. So here's where things are about to get fancy. How's Cresselia deal with the Groudon? You can't really skill swap that, unfortunately. Because it's just going to keep the Desolate Land on your side of the field. Which means you still can't do too much. So Scissor's going to go for that Bullet Punch. Going to avoid the attack because of that evasion boost. So Smeargle's getting a little bit of hacks. Not a complete stomp right now. And Cresselia is just going to go for that Grass Knot onto Groudon. I was about to say, are there damage calculations? Is there reasoning behind this? Still hurts, even with that neutral hits, because Groudon's just such a heavy mofo. Speed's going to raise on the Smeargle, which is kind of interesting. And there's a Protect just in case. So, going to play it safe right here and just see what happens. Cresselia has the Magic Coat, anticipating a Wake Up, potentially. But fast asleep on the Smeargle. That would have been the play to make, because you know Smeargle wants to wake up and throw out the Dark Void. So, it is just going to be some free damage from the Groudon. Big Eruption, but Cresselia is tanky enough to where it doesn't really matter. So, could have been a big eruption, but not big enough. Evasion's going to drop. So it is going to make it a little easier to tag the Smeargle. That's going to be big damage. But it is not Scarf Smeargle. It is going to be Focus Sash. You don't even know what Smeargle is anymore. But Smeargle has a transform. So we are dealing with a double Primal Groudon situation right now. That Smeargle can't really Eruption too well. But the Eruption right there is going to make it to where Scizor cannot survive. Critical hit. That's a lot of 8 times Sun boosted Eruption damage. And Cresselia is going to get that Grass Knot down. Actually, if it's missing that much health, probably still no by any means. Could have had the Fire Berry, but it was Mega Sizzle. I don't know. Nah, it's just not happening. Wishful thinking. It does not pay off. But there's a Zygarde. Actually, I'm wondering how Zygarde... Because when I was looking at it, Zygarde has Land's Wrath. And it doesn't do absurd damage to Primal Groudon. But if you can get some follow-up damage, I wonder if there's enough damage with Land's Wrath, outspeeding Groudon, and then following up with a Grass Knot. You know, that's how you can shut it down potentially. Like I said, I wanted to see the potential, and maybe Zygarde just needs that right amount of support, because it does have that speed, it just doesn't have the damage, it does have the tankiness against the right Pokemon, but we're going to see how this one keeps playing through. So Kangaskhan is still asleep from earlier, and the opponent just kind of really destroyed him right there. And that's going to be Brave Bird from Talonflame onto the Cresselia. Cresselia is going to go down. It's tanky, but it's not that tanky. And a little bit of damage from the recoil. A little more damage from the Life Orb, as we keep seeing. Zygarde has the Glare, so we are going to go for that Glare support onto the Talonflame. Makes sense, because you're bringing the Giratina, and then you Hex Talonflame, and Talonflame gone. Just gone. Alright, I'm liking it. And then we get to see that Giratina just going to do its damagey thing, but then Zygarde can also throw down a Glare. Well, she can't Glare, because still awake. So we're just going to go for the setup. Ooh. I've been waiting for it. You can have that Dragon Dance. It looks like when you're playing the... I guess this is absolutely reliant on the anti-meta. Like, you need your opponents to put themselves to sleep. You need them to waste turns while you find your setups. That's a Dragon Dance Calm Mind turn. That's ridiculous. And Zygarde, with that +1 extreme speed, not going to be enough to really do enough to the Talonflame. But after this Brave Bird, will the recoil into Life Orb be enough to take out the Talonflame? It's close. And it's enough. So Giratina does tank it out. Kangaskhan not really having the best of times right now. But if it does wake up, it will eventually find a Glare. That's going to be a double edge. You can't hit. You have to use the Sucker Punch onto the... Yeah, that Zygarde's tankier than I thought I would see from my damage calculations. Unless I messed up the damage calculations. But Giratina does have that Aura Sphere. So Giratina has to worry about the Sucker Punch. But we know the Sucker Punch doesn't one-hit KO. And it seems like this team is actually working out pretty well. And there's another battle. So let's go and see what else can happen with this team. I am loving it. Oh my goodness. Alright, there's the Xerneas. Cool. Let's see what happens. Now, the opponent's team shows a lot of aggro, a lot of ferocity right here. The Crobat. Very nasty Pokemon. You're going to prevent a lot of crazy setups, and then you go into just Rayquaza being a boss. So let's see what happens right here. And Aegislash is going to be alright in this situation. It's not going to have like super amazing setups. Maybe just Swords Dance, Shadow Claw, just try to one-shot things potentially. But you're not going to be able to one-shot the Mega Rayquaza. It's a little too tanky from there. Zygarde, it has Dragon moves. So I mean, like Dragon Dance into... something. Does it even get Dragon Claw? I don't remember what we saw on the other move from earlier. So that's gonna be Tailwind, trying to boost up. Wow, that layered really weird. Like Tailwind with the Delta Stream effects is kind of funny. So we're going to see the Overheat right there. Overheat onto Aegislash. Aegislash in shield form is going to be a man. Are we seeing the weakness policy? Special attacks gonna harshly fall. That's a weakness policy right there. If there was prediction, we might see some damage coming out of Aegislash right now. So there's a Life Orb. Zygarde's going to Glare, so we're going to slow down when it comes to the Crobat. Crobat is a Pokemon you don't want going fast. It does more damage on that Brave Bird than the Talonflame. It looks like we get a really good read right here, and that's going to be an Iron Head onto the Crobat. +2 Iron Head, not going to be... Oh, I don't like that. I would have gone for the Shadow Claw onto the Rayquaza, honestly. So that's going to be the Dragon's Ascent. But Dragon's Ascent, is it going to hit Zygarde? Yes, it is. So Zygarde going to take on that Dragon's Ascent. Defenses are going to drop. Crobat playing the Quick Guard. So yeah, Crobat played the Quick Guard. So that means like, alright, I shut down the Aegislash. Don't have to worry about it using its Shadow Sneak this turn. That didn't happen though. Not when you're a fan of me. You know what's coming on that Crobat. And Aegislash has the Iron Head. So that's when we convert. After that Glare, that is going to be the damage onto the Rayquaza. Not going to be able to touch that bad boy. And the Air Current now disappears as mysteriously as it came in. So it's like, really, what do? Do you just like King Shield and get that Glare down onto the Xerneas? That's going to be your better play. But it is going to be a withdrawal on the Crobat, because Crobat very threatened at having anything happen to it right there. Getting into that Weavile right now. Xerneas has options, like Aegislash is actually throwing out the Wide Guard just in case of the Dazzling Gleam. So does it even have King Shield? Is it just Wide Guard? So Dazzling Gleam going to be absorbed right there. The combos, the plays, everything on this team does a roll and covers for its ally in some way. The Zygarde Glare is actually being a lot more powerful than I thought it would. Fake Out's not going to affect the Aegislash. That's not how this game works. And that is going to be the Glare on to the Weavile. So Paralysis comes in. Aegislash going to outspeed. Iron Head +2 Iron Head. There's no way Xerneas is going to survive. And we already know where this game's going. That is going to be a GG just from piecing together a shutdown. So this team does take a lot of just like mechanical outplaying that you have to get those reads in there, and if it happens, it looks like it can be pretty rewarding. But it does have a lot of field control. Surprisingly enough, you just get in there and you have to scare your opponent into doing something they don't want to do. Also, it's really good. It's so anti-standard, it works. That battle was a lot faster, and it made things happen. So if you guys enjoy this Fan Fridays, my goodness, that is one good battle. I hope you guys get ready for the last one coming up next.